Hello, my name is Jawad Ali, and I'm here for another video. So in previous video, we discussed about the security strategy, and most specifically, we discussed context, target state, current state, and roadmap. But that was just very high level, and people are probably more confused now because I didn't get into the details. So today I will dive into the details to see what components, make up the target state, the current state, and the roadmap. And let's start. Before I start, I just want to help you about the business requirements and the security program. Of course, inside the security program, you have security requirements and you have the actions and controls. So, because why I'm using this thing? Because they are part of the target state. All of these three components, the business requirement, the security requirements, and of course, the actions and controls, they are all part of the target state, the current state. And so they are very important in order to also, there's this process that I have created to help you understand. So understanding this thing is very important for understanding the components and the process. So let's see. I mean, in the business requirement, every organization implements security for a purpose. So for example, they have a web application, they have a website, they have a portal that customers are accessing, and so they want the portal to be active. They don't want hackers to take it down. So yeah, if they take it down, there will be revenue loss, and business don't want to do that. So these are business requirements. You have an asset, and so the way it is done is that every organization has a purpose. This is the organization mission. And when part of the mission is that when, of course, they have a structure, they will have to follow laws. I mean, businesses exist in countries. So when you are existing in a country, the country law applies to you. So this is compliance. Sometimes, you have customers and the customers want agreements with you. This is also compliance. So you have compliance, whether it's external compliance with the customers or this is, regulations, etc. This is external compliance. So that's also important that applies to you. And there is also the objectives. So every organization have objectives, annual objectives, 3 to 5 year strategic objectives. They have to achieve those objectives. And yeah, those objectives are very important. For those objectives, you have processes, you have marketing, you have sales, you have HR, you have delivery of services, you have, many things. You have IT here. So you have processes, and processes help achieve the organizational objectives. All right. But what in right now we're living in 21st century. We have AI, we have cloud platforms, we have servers, we have websites. All these things are technology, whether it is IT information technology or it is industrial or this is IoT, all of them are technology. Okay? So your assets are technology. In this technology, you can have an asset, for example, customer database, or maybe for a manufacturing company, a system that keeps the manufacturing running. For a healthcare service provider, I say the same thing. You may have some data for patients. So this creates the assets. For every asset, you have requirements. Let's say you have customer database. You don't want the database to be exposed to everybody, and nor do you want the data to be accessed by anybody outside the United States. Maybe if you are in the United States, or for example, you are a manufacturing company, you have the asset is the manufacturing facility. You don't want the facility to stop the process. So everything, depending upon the sector and the industry, you have different assets. The asset are something that is of important value. If it stops working, if it is exposed, it is going to have a very bad damage. So negative, damage to the company, damage to the company. So you have asset one, two, three, four. You may have different assets, and for those assets, you have requirements. So this creates the business requirement, and then you can translate this business requirement into security requirements. And this is also the area of security program. So security program consists of controls and of course the security requirements, which is compliance, risk strategy, security objectives. And for actions and controls, you have actual controls. For example, you have an EDR, you have password management. All of these are actual controls. You have policies. So policies provide direction and implementation of the strategy. So this is a human level control. You have exceptions. Sometimes you are just not creating control. So this is exception projects. There are controls, policies, or exception that you are planning to implement. This is projects. something that you have not implemented. So these are actions and controls. Of course, the actions and controls are driven by strategy, by security objectives, and the security objectives are achieved by strategy, and strategy includes these things, which is actions and controls. And of course, security objectives are created for compliance and risk. So compliance and risk combine to create security objectives, and for that, for security objectives, you have security strategy, and inside the strategy, you have the actions and controls. All right, so now this thing is clear. You have business requirements, something the business needs. You translate that into a language that security people can understand. So this is security requirements, and all right, let's see. This is translating in security requirements, and of course, once you have the security requirements, you further translate it into actions and controls. So the whole thing creates security program. All right, now that the process is clear, let's move on to the target state. So in the target state, business requirement. What is the target set of business requirements? Security vision, organizational objectives, assets, plans, the target set of security requirements. What are you envisioning? What do you think your destination is? This is the target state. So what is the destination of the business requirement? What is the destination of the security requirements and security program? And then the current state. So where are you right now? What are you right? So this is about understanding the current situation. What are the current business requirements that are already documented? The same goes for security and security program, requirements and security program. So you get that data. So these are the components. Now let's move on to the process. So how would you do the strategy and the roadmap process? And this is how it's done. You would be establishing context, and part of the context is what is the scope, what is the budget, what is the outcome that you are hoping to achieve, and that is very important because everything else will be in that area that you have defined in this context. So part of the context, of course, scope is part of the context. Then the first thing would be what is the target state of the business requirements? So what do you think? What is your vision for security? And then once you ask for this thing, you can then ask for what is your current business requirements? Tell us about this. Why we ask for current business requirements is that the vision is what they believe that they need. But translating the vision into requirements is not easy. So instead of starting from scratch, you can just use existing data. So why not ask them for existing business requirements for security that they think are important based on the vision? So once you do that, you create what? You create the target business requirements. The current business requirements, why we are not using the current business requirements? We are actually using it, but sometimes the data is old. For example, the organization said, well, we needed this data. This data is from a year ago, but right now, after a year later, it's not relevant, it's not accurate, it's not complete. So you have to ask the stakeholder about the current business requirement. Do you think the requirement are still relevant, are still accurate and complete? If they agree with it, then this becomes the target state. Okay. So the current state is actually very important. Make sure that you do not start from scratch because if you do, the chances that you get this process wrong is very high. So keep that in mind. Use existing data. It makes sense. All right. So once you have the business requirements, then you can set based on the business requirement you would ask for the current business security requirements. What are the current security requirements? For example, what are the security objectives? What is the current strategy? And when you ask for this thing, then you can say, all right, do you think that, well, you can ask them if they have a security department, you can tell them what are the challenges associated with the current strategy and security objectives and risk and compliance. These are security requirements. And then you can create a target state for security requirements. Once you do that, and also I in security requirement for target set for security requirement, you also ask for existing data. Make sure you ask that. All right. Once you do that, once you ask for security requirements, then there is a gap. There is a gap between the current security requirements and the target security requirements. So This is without requirements. You could establish the gap between current and target security requirements. All right. So you establish the gap. You're right. You're saying this is the problem. What is it that we are missing? You have an ideal situation that you want to need to go to, and the gap is about what is preventing us from achieving the destination of security requirements. All right. So once you find the gap, and in the gap, you're saying, all right, this is the list one, two, three, four, five. We're missing 10 items in security requirements. Okay. You have a missing requirements. Um, and then you are seeing, oh, all right. What about the current security, the state of the program? So, uh, yeah, it's mostly actions and controls. So I'm mistaken here, but you keep that in mind. Um, yeah, there is a very confusion of words, but um, I meant actions and controls, not program, because program is security requirements are part of the program. So keep that in mind that when I say security program, current program, I mean actions and controls. So you assess the current actions and controls and see if the gaps can be satisfied with actions and controls. If the sometimes there could be some problems in the actions and controls, they could be missing, and the missing one creates the target state for the actions and controls. Then you create solutions, and then you prioritize the projects, you execute the projects, you monitor and review. So yeah, this was this whole process about the strategy and roadmap. Hope you understand. uh I understand this is just the beginning. Hopefully some things may not be clear. If they are not, please let me know in the comments. I know it's not perfect, but at least it's the start. Thank you very much.